This is the Secure Family Podcast. Welcome, friend. I'm Andy Murphy, the host and founder of The Secure Dad. This show is all about empowering parents to protect themselves and their family. I believe that security is the foundation of happiness, and I want your family to be safe and happy. The information I share on this podcast is for general information purposes only. My goal is to empower you to make safer decisions for yourself and your family, because our safety is our own responsibility. Today I want to share with you how scammers can get your credit card information and what you can do to protect your card. All of that and more coming up on the Secure Family Podcast. It's tax season. Aren't you excited? Okay, so you and I may not like tax season, but scammers do. Did you know that scammers can use your real data to file your taxes and steal your refund? People can use the data from breaches and data broker sites to pretend to be you and actually file your taxes, and the government won't know the difference. That's why I personally use Delete Me. Delete Me is a subscription service that removes your personal data from hundreds of data broker sites. Don't let someone steal your hard-earned tax refund. One important step you can take is to remove your data from these sites. Plus, you can file your return early before a scammer can do anything. Today, get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/dad and use the promo code DAD at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/dad and enter the code DAD at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/dad, code DAD. Hey parents, are you worried about keeping your kids safe while gaming online? Well, then I've got something just for you. My new ebook, Level Up, the Parent 30-Minute Guide to Online Gaming Safety, is launching on February 12th. That's next week. In just half an hour, you will learn how to set up guidelines to protect your kids without being the fun police. Give your kids the freedom to play while you enjoy peace of mind. Mark your calendar for February 12th and be ready to level up your parenting game. This new ebook will be available exclusively at thesecuredad.com. My credit card information has been stolen a bunch of times. In fact, for 3 straight years, I got a new card every year because mine was compromised. And so you're thinking, wow, now I'm going to be taking advice from a guy who's had his credit card stolen. Shouldn't he know better? This is like the guy who runs a Secure Family Podcast. Because I have experienced this, I have learned about it, I've gotten better about it, and I've been searching for new information on it. So I'm going to share my experiences with you today. And thankfully, in my situations where my credit card was stolen, I was able to report these to my provider without any real trouble. But it can actually be a lot worse if people don't know what to do or they don't know what to look for. So today I'm going to talk about credit card fraud, how skimmers work, and what we can do to spot a skimmer in the wild. Credit card fraud is the unauthorized use of a credit card or credit card information to make purchases or withdraw funds without a cardholder's consent. It's a form of financial fraud that can involve stolen physical cards, hacked account details, and even fraudulent transactions. Some of the common types of credit card fraud include card theft, which is physically stealing a card and then using it to make purchases. Then there's skimming, which is capturing card information through a hidden device, either on an ATM or a gas pump. And then there's phishing scams, which is tricking victims into revealing their card details with fake emails, texts, and calls. Then there's actually application fraud, which is using stolen personal information to apply for a new credit card in someone else's name. Now today, I want to specifically talk about skimming, even though over the future of this show, I'm probably going to talk about all of these things because I think they're interesting, and unfortunately, they're happening to people like you and me every day. And I think it's fascinating how scammers use technology to camouflage and steal people's credit card information through skimming. And I think my card was skimmed multiple times before I really even knew what the process was. So I want to share with you what I have learned so that you can protect yourself and learn from my misfortune. So I'm going to set this up for you, and it's going to go in a weird direction at first, but we're going to bring it all together and you'll have a better understanding of how this whole process works. So there have been tons of families from Eastern Europe coming to the United States with the sole intent of stealing credit card information. And I do mean families. I'm talking a mom, a dad, and kids. And typically, these families will fly to Mexico, cross the border illegally, get caught by Border Patrol, get their court date for 1 to 3 years out. That's all part of the plan. Then they travel to several U.S. cities where their larger family is already established. Now, you might be wondering why I'm talking about illegal immigration for credit card skimming, but they are tied together. You know that little black stripe on the back of your credit card? That is called a magnetic stripe, also known as a mag stripe. These mag stripes store and transmit data when a transaction is being processed. This is where all the real data is. Now, it contains 3 tracks that store information like the cardholder's name, the account number, the expiration date, and the security code. Pretty standard stuff. Now, when a card is swiped through a card reader, that magnetic field on the stripe interacts with the magnetic head. Now, hold on to this part. We're going to come back to this in a minute. The card reader then detects the changes in the magnetic field and then converts them to electrical signals that are decoded into information. Now, the payment terminal sends the card data to the card issuer's network for authentication. If the details match and the account is in good standing, the transaction is approved and you get to buy gas at the pump. And this all happens insanely fast. Like, I don't think, unless you work in this industry, you probably don't know all of that is happening every time you put your card into a machine. Fascinating. Now, of course, people have figured out a way to steal that data from your credit card's mag stripe. So the mag stripe is being phased out everywhere, but it's happening faster in Europe. So people who have been skimming credit cards in Europe are moving to where the mag stripe is being used more, which right now is the United States. So here we see the predator following the prey, just like we see in nature when a cheetah who hunts an impala, they go to where they are and then they start their hunt. It's fascinating how humans are still following the predator-prey relationship, even though it's for credit card skimming. Just super interesting. So, with some very smart engineering, these families can make their own skimmers, steal credit card data, swap that data onto a new card, and then take out a cash advance. Now, half the cash they keep and the other half is sent back to their family in Eastern Europe. And this is how this works. This is happening everywhere in just about every state in the U.S. right now. Now, is this how all credit card skimming is done? No, but it's done a lot just like this. So now that we know what they're doing, now let's talk about how they're doing it. Well, thanks to the internet, you can buy just about anything online, and that includes parts for ATMs, gas pumps, pinhole cameras, and chips that can be programmed to skim data. So if you go to a gas pump and you see a credit card reader that looks real, it actually is. Scammers are using the real parts to trick us into thinking that the machine is safe to use. And get this, they can even buy those stickers that say the device has been checked and is safe to use. With gas pump skimmers, sometimes a pinhole camera has to be used to get your PIN number. If they're not using an overlay for the PIN pad, then a pinhole camera will be placed above the PIN pad to record the buttons that you press. Then the scammers will sync up the time with your credit card swipe and see what PIN you entered. And the pinhole cameras are housed either inside the machine itself, or a small box is made and stuck to the machine that is painted to look like it belongs there. There are even some skimmers that can be modified to look like the point-of-sale machines like you see in line at the grocery store. You know, the little black computer where you swipe your card and enter your PIN? They have skimmers on those as well. I've been told that groups are putting these devices over point-of-sale machines in line at Walmart. Can you imagine how many transactions they're getting from just one machine at a Walmart store? That's insane. That's brazen, but they're doing it. So the real parts are being modified, and they're adding the skimming hardware, which is really just a small motherboard with a limited amount of storage and power. Most of the time, scammers have to come back and take the device to get the data off of it and then recharge it to be used the next day. And skimmers can be put on in seconds. Using double-sided tape, the skimmer can be placed over the real part and secured quickly. And if you're not looking for it, you may not ever see it happen, even if it happens on camera. And this can happen even in front of employees who work at the register. And because the skimmers are placed over the real parts, your card will still swipe and the transaction will go through. The machine doesn't even know that this is happening. You won't see a problem with the transaction that stole your data. It'll just appear at some other time, in some other place. Like for me, I got a notification that my card was swiped at a Lowe's home improvement store in Louisiana, and I was not in the state of Louisiana at the time. And that just makes it hard for law enforcement to even know when your card was copied. You just don't know about it until a fraudulent transaction has taken place. So now that we know how this process works, what can you and I do about it? First off, I want you to start using Tap to Pay. If you have the tap capability on your card, the mag stripe isn't used, and so you're safe from a skimmer. Now, I suggest that you take this one step further and use like Apple Pay or Google Pay. These are encrypted, and not even the stores themselves know what your real card number is. So for all of your transactions, please use Apple Pay. And if you can't use Apple Pay, then use Tap to Pay. If your credit card or debit card doesn't have that, contact your financial institution and get one issued to you this week. But if you end up in a spot where swiping your card is all that you can do, then I want you to look for the skimmer. Pull on the credit card reader and see if it comes off. The real parts aren't held on by double-sided tape, so the fake stuff comes off. And if it comes off, don't worry about it. You're not breaking anything, you're just finding the skimmer. And if you do find the skimmer, call the police and alert the owner of the store. So there you have it. Credit card skimmers are more advanced than ever. So what are our key takeaways here? Tap to pay whenever possible. I highly recommend that you use Apple Pay whenever you can. If you have to swipe your card, inspect the machine and look for any signs that something isn't right. Pull on the card reader to see if it's real. Trust your instincts and don't make yourself an easy target. Scammers are always adapting, but so are we. Well, that's everything that I have for the Secure Family Podcast for today. Thank you, friend, for listening. Take back your privacy and personal data with help from Delete Me. Get 20% off our privacy plan when using the code DAD at checkout. Delete Me is the official data removal service of the Secure Dad. Keep your kids safe while gaming online with my upcoming ebook, Level Up. Look for it next week, February 12th. If you'd like to know more about the Secure Dad, visit thesecuredad.com. There you'll find free downloads, books to buy, podcast episodes, and a whole lot more. The best way to stay informed is with the Secure Dad email newsletter, and there's a link for you to sign up today in the show notes. I'm Andy Murphy, and I want you to share what you learned today about scams. Remember, we're all in this together.